Welcome to a new video, everybody. Today we're going to be installing a throttle body spacer in the Optima. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we'll need to do to get this thing installed. Alrighty, so first we need to be able to get to the throttle body, which is right down here in this model of Optima. The spacer is going to sit in between the intake manifold and the throttle body, so right there in that line. We're going to need to take off this intake breather and this intake tubing, not necessarily all the way off for this piece. We're just going to loosen the clamp down here, slide it off, and then kind of move it up over the engine there so that we can get down there to the throttle body. Now for these bolts, the research that I've done and a couple of videos that I've seen say that the ones that came with this kit are too long and that we needed to get some shorter ones because they were pressing into the plastic of the intake manifold. So, or at least for these first two, this one and the one below it that are closest to the bumper. The back ones should be fine, but once we get in there, we'll go ahead and see. I picked up some extra ones for those front two just in case to see what we'll need. But let's go ahead and get all this taken off and ready to put the spacer in, and then we'll see what we need to do with those bolts. To get this intake tubing up, you may have to scooch this coolant line over a little bit. You can take the battery out, although I have so much stuff wired into it that I figured just kind of scooching it over would be a little easier. But again, if you need more room, you can take the battery out and move that over and pull it up. But otherwise, you'll just have to watch out for this coolant line here. Got the throttle body separated from the intake manifold, we can go ahead and put the spacer in. Now here's what I was talking about with the bolts. Obviously here is the stock bolt. It's very short because it doesn't need to go any further than from the throttle body to the intake manifold. And then these are the bolts that come with the kit from the K5 Optima store, which people are saying the front two are a little bit too long. So I went ahead and I picked up just a tad bit shorter of a bolt. It is a metric bolt and it should go on with the 10mm socket. So we'll go ahead and slide this in and see which one that we'll need. Alrighty, and as suspected, these bolts were just a little bit too long for the front two, so I went ahead and used the two that I picked up from the hardware store. But we've got the throttle body spacer all installed there. The side with the gasket is going to go on this right side next to the throttle body, because there's another gasket over here on this side. You can see this little green tab here for the intake manifold. So now we just need to put the intake tubing back, put our breather back on, fire up the engine, and make sure everything works fine. we've got the car running and we have no check engine lights or any error codes or anything like that, which is great. I have heard or read that you can have some, but basically what's happening is the ECU needs to re-regulate the amount of air that it's feeding into the throttle body and where the spacer, was put into, so it has to basically relearn how much air it's putting in the engine. So let your car just run for a little bit and the ECU should take care of that for you. Fortunately though, we didn't have that issue. As you can see, we've got no kind of air lights or anything like that. We'll go ahead and take it for a spin and see what kind of power gains we got. Again, I think it's just going to be minimal from what I've seen on YouTube and read from other places, people putting their cars on the dynos. They're really only getting like maybe 3 or 4 horsepower and 4 or 5 more torque. These are mainly used for putting like NOS in the intake, spraying into that intake manifold with those 2 little holes that you saw on either side. So yeah, let's go ahead and drive it around a little bit and see what kind of boost we got. Alrighty, so I just went for a quick spin around the block, and you can definitely tell that there's a difference. You can feel a little more get up and go from the car when you press on that pedal. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and checking out the video. If you have any questions about the install or the throttle body spacer, let me know in the comments down below. I'll be leaving a link in the description if you want to pick one of these up for your car. Again, thanks so much for stopping by and checking out the video. Subscribe if you're not already. Check out another video on the channel, and I hope to see you in my next one.